Hello everyone! It is good to have you here tuning in for another week of Kids Connection.
Why are you so out of breath? Like, take a seat. And why are you so sweaty?
I just came in from like a really good training session.
You're training?
Well, yeah. This month we're training for a 5K. Didn't I tell you?
A 5K, like a 5 kilometer.
I didn't stop my watch.
Oh no. But like a 5 kilometer race? Like, who's even organizing one of these with everything that's going on?
No one. It's just our theme for this month. It's 5K, and I thought it would be fun to train because like there is no better way to live out a commitment. Commitment is making a plan and putting it into practice.
Well, training is a good idea because you could go out and do a 5K without any training and you might barely make it back across the finish line. But if you make a plan and put it into practice, you'll be able to run a lot more with a lot more excitement and a lot more energy.
And I'm sure you'd enjoy it a whole lot more. So, I know you're the phys ed guy, but I've come up with a plan for us to train.
Okay.
And now we get to put it into practice.
Well, you need to train in endurance and flexibility and strength, so what did you have in mind?
Well, those are all things that can be increased through dancing. So, why don't we get up on our feet and dance along to our new theme song for the month?
Plans for me are good. You hold my future. You're working all the time. You're the mountain mover. From sunrise to sunset till the sun comes back up again. You're by my side. You started a good work in me. I know that you will complete it. You will see it through. In everything that you say you'll do, 'cause I believe that you are faithful, oh, you are faithful, oh, you are faithful. I'll trust your every word, 'cause I believe that you're working for my good. Yes, you're committed. From sunrise to sunset till the sun comes back up again, you're by my side. You started a good work in me. I know that you will complete it. You will see it through, yeah. I know that you're still working on me. And everything that you say you'll do, 'cause I believe that you are faithful, oh, you are faithful, oh, you are faithful. You are my hope, you are my future. You are the mountain mover. You are faithful. You are my hope, you are my future. You are the mountain mover. You are faithful. You started a good work in me. I know that you will complete it. You will see it through, yeah. I know that
If you want to train to run a race, like a 5K race, you need some big time commitment.
Did you know that the Apostle Paul actually talked about running in the Bible?
Really? I didn't usually think of a religious bookworm and tent maker to be a huge runner.
It's true. Paul mentioned running as an example for a different kind of training.
Okay, that makes more sense. I use sports examples to make points, even though I know nothing about most sports.
He wrote a letter to a church in Corinth. In it he wrote, "In a race, all the runners run, but the only one who gets the prize is the one who wins." And you know that, don't you? So run in a way that will get you the prize.
Well, obviously, I mean, that's how every competition works, but I guess we did just say that this would be more about, be about more than just the running.
Exactly. But in order to understand what he really meant, you need to know what it takes to run a really long race. First, you need to plan because it will help. You know what to do each day as you prepare.
That's why I made us a plan. Some days are laid out for actually running, some days are laid out for cross training, and some days we'll work on our agility.
Well, we've got a plan. So once you have your plan, your next step after making the plan is to put the plan into action.
And don't forget the fuel we need. So we're gonna have to carb up if we're gonna actually have the energy for all this running. And don't forget hydration. We'll need to stay on top of drinking lots of water. And my favorite part of the training program?
I thought all the carbs would be your favorite part of the program.
Nah, it's the rest days and a good sleep routine. I love me some sleeping, stretching, hot baths, and at least 8 hours of sleep every night.
This is seeming like a lot of work. Well, except the sleeping. But running does take a lot of hard work and practice. It's like Paul said, run in a way that will get you the prize.
But I thought we were talking about something more than just the running.
We are. What Paul actually meant was that there's something far more important that we need to train for. He continues on to say, all who take part in the game train hard. They do it to get a crown that will not last. But we do it to get a crown that will last forever.
Well, that seems much more clear.
What Paul was saying then, and it's still true today, is that we're all in a race. It's not a real race, it's a sports example. And eventually this race is gonna end. And when it does, you can't take all your prizes and your rewards with you. So when you do things, don't do them for the rewards or the compliments. You gotta do them because it's the right thing to do, and because you want to show love and kindness to others.
Like any race, if we want to run the race well, we need to set our focus on what matters most. Jesus said that what matters most is to love God with all of our hearts, minds, soul, and strength, and to love others as much as ourselves.
And that's the purpose of the race, to love God and love other people.
Just like I made a plan for Tarzan and I to go running the 5K, there are things we can do to grow stronger in our relationship with God. But we need a training plan.
And practice.
Yes.
It won't look like what you think of as training. There will be no running, there will be no sweating, there will be no heavy breathing. Actually, you're doing it right now. When we read from the Bible or we listen to wise stories and teachings, we see how God works in the lives of people all throughout time. We learn that we can trust God no matter what.
You could also pray. This is honestly talking out loud or silently with God about how you feel. And we can ask Him to help us run our race well.
And finally, we want to run our race well, which means we need to live it by showing God's love and kindness to those around us in everything we do. When we do that, we show that we love God.
I came up with this bottom line because I think it sums all of this up super nicely. Keep practicing what matters most.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story inspired by the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 9, verses 24 through 25.
Did you know that some writers of the Bible talk sports? Well, not every sport, but at least one that you are familiar with. Yep, running. Running has been around ever since God created people. In fact, the Apostle Paul uses running as an example in one of his letters to the church in Corinth.
In a race, all the runners run, but only one gets the prize. You know that, don't you? So run in a way that will get you the prize.
Now, Paul is talking about more here than just running, but first you have to understand what it takes to run a long race. Let's say you want to run a marathon. That's 26.2 miles. There's no way you can just hop up off the sofa where you've been playing video games for months and run that far. So, you need a plan. When I was preparing for my first marathon, I found this plan. I started training more than 4 months ahead of the race, and I started with just a few miles at a time. Once you've got a plan, well, then you gotta move. That means short runs, long runs, and cross-training to work other muscles and prevent injury. Next up, you've got to fuel. Plenty of water, of course. Plus, you need healthy carbs for your long runs like bananas. And maybe some spaghetti and meatballs. What's the last part of your training? Get ready for it. Rest. If you don't rest and let your body recover, you'll get burnt out or injured. The last few days before a marathon, you don't even run at all. Yeah, running a long race is no joke. But Paul says what we're doing right now, you and me, is even more important.
All who take part in the games train hard. They do it to get a crown that will not last. But we do it to get a crown that will last forever. So I do not run like someone who doesn't run toward the finish line. I do not fight like a boxer who hits nothing but air.
Paul packs a lot of weight into just a few sentences. Whether you planned it or not, we are all running a race right now. Okay, so that's a little crazy. Clearly, I'm standing here talking to you, and you aren't outside running laps either. But Paul is talking about a way of life, a journey. We're all focused on the finish line, life forever with Jesus, but in the meantime, every step along the way is important as we live out what matters most. Jesus reminded his followers,
Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Love him with all your mind. Love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Yep, love God, love others. That's what matters on this journey together. But just like you can't skip from jogging 1 lap around the school gym to running a 26.2 mile race, you're gonna need some practice. Your Love God, Love Others marathon needs a training plan. Now, none of us have it all figured out, but here are 4 important things to start with. In fact, you may already be doing some of them. First point, hear. God is the master teller of this amazing story. He's the author of this whole race, so the most important thing is learning to hear from God. That means digging into God's Word and hearing the stories and wisdom from people who walked with Him. And you can also hear from God from people around you in your life who know and follow Him. Now, here's the second step in training for our Love God, Love Others marathon. Pray. Okay, when you hear pray, you might think,
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Truth is, you don't need fancy words to pray. You can talk to God anytime, anywhere, about anything, just like talking to your mom or your best friend.
Now let's take a look at point 3 in our training plan. Talk.
Hello out there! Tell other people what God has been up to in your life, what's changing, how you're learning to love others better.
And here's the final point in your Love God, Love Others training plan. Live.
Live for God. Let His love fill up every part of your life, at home, at school, at church, even when your dad makes you stop reading your book to play a game with your little sister. Hear, pray, talk, live. That's how you practice loving God and loving others. As Paul wrote,
So run in a way that will get you the prize. We do it to get a crown that will last forever.
and when you do, you will live out Paul's wisdom to the Corinthians and win the race.
Have you ever decided to do something really big? Like learn how to play guitar? Or, make friends with the new kid down the street? Maybe you even want to bake a master chef-worthy cake for your mom's birthday. You're super excited to get started, but then you sit down with the guitar and... oh, no. Or you spend all morning working up the nerve to go knock on the new kid's door, and it turns out he's gone for a week of summer camp. Then you find the recipe for that amazing cake, and it's crazy. Doing big things takes work. It takes making a plan and then sticking with it. There are calluses along the way, patience and courage in building a friendship, and definitely some mess. But when you follow through, you find the music, you grow a friendship, you create amazing edible art. And through it all, others can see how God has given you the strength to stick with it. That's why commitment is an amazing way to worship God with your life, because worship is about more than just singing loud. It's all about living loud.
Jesus taught us what matters most in life. Love God and love others. It's really that simple, but it's not easy. It takes practice.
We just have to keep practicing what matters most.
And you can train by reading the Bible, talking honestly with God, and loving others and treating them kindly.
All right, my heart rate's dropping and you haven't even gotten started yet. You're not even dressed. Come on, let's go.
Well, I guess I better go get changed. I'll see you all next week. Can I at least have a snack first? Smalls, wait for me.